Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. Still have to think about that. Wednesday morning in the south of England and the sun is shining. Eric is sunbathing. You right there? Yeah, he's fine. As long as the sun stays out, he's fine. Birds are feeding in the garden. Plants are growing. It's all good. It's all good. We like a bit of sunshine. As always, if you are watching, do please pop a hello in the comments. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Jane. Welcome to Wednesday. Apologise for the lighting today. It's because it's so bright outside. Need a great big spotlight or something. Yeah, but the sun's shining, so it's good. Good morning, Lizzie. Good morning. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Janet. Mr. Morecambe. Yes, he's sunbathing. Good morning, Rachel. He likes. He's sunbathing inside. It's warmer inside. Got his nose pressed up against the window. Good morning, Jay. Welcome to Wednesday. And it is a very, very nice day out there. Yep, almost blue skies. Few odd bits of cloud. But yeah, I'm squinting. It's sunny, blue skies. It's all good. Good morning, Emma. I am in a different place today. I'm sitting in the end of a kitchen diner. I'm sitting at our dining room table with the garden on that side of me, kitchen that side. Good morning, Hannah. Jane, liking your cups and saucers, do you use them for tea leaf reading? I have done tea leaf reading. I tend to use those ones for, in fact, the last time I was going to say drinking tea. The last time I used them, I made lemon trifles in them. Little individual lemon trifles in the teacups. I like collecting old china and glass from 20s and 30s, 40s. Just to kind of in keeping with the age of the house, really. I like the old stuff. I like the recycling side of it. I like the quality of it, the patterns, the designs. So most of the stuff up there is old stuff. But yes, have done tea leaf reading. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Maharet. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Isi. Good morning, Xenia. Work from home today so I can listen a bit. Might pop out. Excellent. Do like your dresser. The dresser came from a charity shop. I think it was about 70 quid. It might not have even been that much. Yes, from a charity shop, secondhand. Like recycling. Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Maria. Janet says, sun and blue skies on the way in Ohio. Oh, you're up early. Xenia, I like the cups and saucers too, how you arrange them. I like these old items. The dresser has little grooves in it that you can sort of stand the plates in, so that's what I did. I like looking at them. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Colin. Done my shopping already. Got carrot and lentil soup on. That's very industrious, Colin. Very industrious. Good morning, Gillian. Good morning, Karen. It was a bargain. Pretty much all of our furniture, apart from the sofa, I think. Dressers, wardrobes, tables, chairs, all come from the charity shop. I like the prices, but I like the quality of the furniture. It's far more solid than the flat pack stuff that you buy, obviously. Some of it is, or a lot of it is handmade. Most of it is from solid wood rather than chipboard with veneer on. You're recycling. You're giving money to charity, and I like the history of it. I like the fact that the piece of furniture has lived before in any number of places, really. It all kind of works for me, really. Emma, like anything from the 20s to 40s too, you get some beautiful things from that time. You do, and their house was built in 1910, so I've always liked old stuff anyway, but when we had the renovation done with new bits on, I kind of felt that the house needed some older bits to balance it out, really. So that's another reason for it. And any excuse for shopping. But I get all of the china and all of the glass, obviously, is from charity shops. It's fun looking for it. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Angela from beautifully sunny France. Yes, we help Sue in Sunderland has sun too. Excellent, excellent. Sun all round today. Good morning, Dee. Good morning, Kerry. Xenia, older items often are better quality. Absolutely, absolutely. Colin, it's a nice dry day here in Clenelly. Well, at least the cat will be happy, Colin. Yeah, we all like charity shops. They're good. Leanne, 2 a.m. Wow. That's either very late or incredibly early. You're mad. Totally bad. Totally bonkers. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, everyone. No real theme today, more of an ask the witch kind of thing. I have a couple of questions that I want to throw out to you. But if anyone has any witchcraft-based questions that you would like to ask or discuss, pop them in the comments and we'll hopefully have time to get to them. Anything you like, as long as it's vaguely witchcraft related or pagan related. Good evening, Sephora. Leanne, late. I don't see 2 a.m. very often. Colin says she thinks every time I go to the cupboard, she should get treats. Yes, Eric's like that. Every time you sort of venture anywhere near the tin with the snacks in, they're for him. Yeah. Good morning, Karen. It's so nice. I was wandering with the dog feeding the crows. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. We've actually had a magpie in our garden. It's so unusual. I'd see them flying around, but never had actually. Morning magpie. There's one on the TV area of the house over there. Just as I was talking about it, just checking there aren't any more. I don't often get them in the garden, so we've had them in the garden this week. Angela, hopefully a grass cutting day today. Hay fever. As it's up past my knees, it grows so fast as Brittany is pretty wet a lot of the time, like England then. Eva, good morning. Made it back from the dog walk. Glad you could join us. Good morning, Sasha. Eric's on alert for something. He'll probably go off barking in a minute. So yes, any questions about witchcraft, anything you'd like to discuss today, pop it in the comments. We'll see where we go. Trudy, morning chores in the sunny garden, got carried away. Yeah, it's like that when the sun comes out, isn't it? Sephora, nice spot, looks sunny. Have Hutch and me. Yeah, it's a dining room on the end of the kitchen, sort of kitchen diner, and it opens out to the garden. It's lovely. It is lovely. So right, we've got some questions already. So let us have a look. This is Leanne, trying to think of how to honour children on an ancestor altar without putting their photos or using dolls. Interesting one. My ancestor altar is photographs. I quite often have a skull on there too. Not a real one, but I have a skull on there. I think if you don't want to put photographs, dolls are freaky. Most dolls are freaky. Do you know, I would just go with candles. If you have anything, perhaps little booties or baby clothes or anything like that might be nice. But I'd keep it simple. I'd go with candles or flowers. You know what the representation is. You know what the connection is. So if you don't want to do photos, then I would use candles, and say baby booties or something like that if you wanted to. If anyone else has got any ideas, do pop them in the comments. Oh, I've got to let the dog out now. Go on then. some ferocious beast in the garden, I expect, like, a sparrow. He's so brave. Jane, quick question. Is there a big difference between Gardnerian and Alexandrian Wicker? We did a little gardening ritual at our moot last night and it felt a bit different to what I'm used to. But they were two different people running their own Wiccan traditions. I don't know a huge amount of detail about the actual details because they were originally closed covens. So they were of the age when things were kept private within each coven. So they were run by two different people. Whether there are huge differences, I don't know, because I'm not a member of either one. Although my training is in Wicca, it was just in general Wicca rather than a traditional coven. If anyone knows, that would be useful. I'm assuming there are differences because they were run by two different people, but they're based on the Wiccan traditions and the Wiccan ideals. I don't know exactly, to be honest, Jane, but because they were closed traditions. So what went on behind closed doors? You had to be an actual member to know. If anyone has any light to shed on that, pop in the comments and we will share. Maria says, stop grumbling. You've seen so many magpies lately. Going back to cats, I can't say the word treaty and have to spell it out, yes, when discussing it like they're small children. Yes, there are words we have to spell out for the dog, so the dog doesn't understand in this house too. Good morning, Tony. Sephora says, what about a child's drawing? Yes, for the children's ancestor altar, that would work too. Good morning, Andrea. Candles, flowers, baby booties, great ideas. It's got to work for you. I think if it's your altar, then you have to make the connection with it. It has to be something that represents the children to you. So, yeah. But yeah, lots of ideas there. Trust your intuition about what works for you. Angela says, gradually rewilding and planting a food forest to reduce the grass while still having a space to relax in. We've got over an acre of garden and most of it was carefully manicured lawn when we moved here. That sounds fantastic, Angela. All the comments are all disappearing too quickly. Right, Angela, for ancestor altars, could use clothing or items belonging to them if you have them and don't want to use photos. Yeah, little, the little booties and things. Perfect. Sasha, would love some advice on how to prune or train a solitary hawthorn tree that has grown in our garden. It's lovely to have it, but I'm extremely conscious of not upsetting the fae. Talk to it. Definitely talk to it. I don't have hawthorn in the garden, so I'm not sure about pruning it. I would have a look at the RHS website because that's where I get my information from if I need to know how to prune something. The RHS website should be able to help you with that. But I would make a definite connection with it first, to ask, to commune, to connect with it so that it doesn't get upset. Sasha, so far I've not dared to do anything except leave offerings at the tree's base. Make a connection with it, ask it what it needs or what it wants, Sasha. The spirit of the plant will tell you. Baby representation on altar. Embryos have been called little bean. Oh, yeah, we used to call ours a little baked bean by pregnant mothers. How about a seed bean pea? Something young and yet happened for a lost baby. That's a nice idea. I like that. Yes, we used to call ours baked bean when I was pregnant. There we go, Xenia. Learned at a Wicca introduced course in London recently that Alexandrians usually bring their circle down anti-clockwise, whereas Gardnerians open their circles clockwise. Same direction they cast the circle. For me, learning from books, it was always casting the circle clockwise and opening it anti-clockwise, and it makes total sense for me. Opening the circle clockwise felt weird to me. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Colin, Gerald Gardner was a lot earlier than Alexander's. I read Alex's book, King of the Witches, which was his life story. Yes, indeed. Sorry, that was a bit sad. Thinking in general, women trying to have a baby, it just triggered a memory. I think that's what's important with the altars. They need to have memories, connections, representations, correspondences. That means something to you. That means something to you personally. Maria, any belongings you shared or have been shared can be placed on your altar. Absolutely. Sephora, I have my ancestors on display all the time, so wasn't sure if that counted as an altar. Did a couple of hours stalking them on Ancestry instead. An altar is it is a place where you go to connect, with deity, with spirit, with magical workings. It is a sacred space. So if you just have photos of your ancestors, then it could be a sacred space. Could just be a shelf with photos on. It's got to work for you. Janet, I was thinking of making a scroll with the names of my ancestors. Nice. Nice idea. Jane, my ginger legend Trevor, such a good name for a cat. Wasn't fun by spelling. Yeah, I think Eric's learned that too. If I spelled out bacon or ham, he was there in a flash. He simply learned how to associate spelling with scent. Yes, I'm pretty sure that when we use other words, Eric's picked up on them. Lizzie, for the ancestor altar, probably use a bonnet, one of the older style ones. Perhaps you could make it and I'd place that on the altar. Oh, one of the lacy cotton ones, Broderie Anglaise one or something. That would be lovely. Karen says something that belonged to the children. Yeah, all good. Oh, that's a nice one. Eva, a vase of baby's breath flowers. Yes, that would work brilliantly. They would, and any type of flowers, but baby's breath kind of ties in with it, doesn't it? Lizzie, as far as I know, hawthorns don't need to prune unless it's growing in a way that interferes. If so, just prune those pieces in the autumn when the tree is preparing for winter. It's a wild tree, isn't it? It's not generally something that you buy to go in a tailored garden. Mother Nature gets on with it, doesn't she? Sephora, I'm always talking to them, especially all my Anzacs. We've just had that day here. Yes, it has. Anzac Day has been recently, wasn't it? Little Miss Nemo. I have photos of my mother as a young woman, as my mummy, and as a young girl. The girl photos make me a little sad, thinking what lay in store for her. She hadn't a clue. That's the whole cycle of life, isn't it? It is the whole cycle of life. Anything Sephora, Anzac Day, or any of the. We went to local airfield for one of the War Memorial Days with all the old Spitfires flying above. It was very upsetting. Yeah, things we need to remember. We need to remember what people did for us and died for us to be able to live as we do now. Absolutely. Angela, some books like The Witch's Bible have a couple of deliberate mistakes in them in order to make you learn, do further research rather than just follow them blindly. It's a nice idea, but people do just follow them blindly. I like the idea behind it, but people do not do research and they don't check sources, and not you guys, obviously. But it does happen. Stuff gets shared just without checking, without looking or thinking. Always check your sources. Sasha, just super worried that I shouldn't cut it at all, but it is, hawthorn is a natural, wild, Mother Nature takes care of itself kind of thing, but definitely make connection with the energy of it before you do anything. Karen, hawthorns are my favourite tree. I have them in the front and back garden. Lovely. Angela, I talk to our trees and ask permission if I have to cut anything, being mindful of growing, resting, nesting seasons. Yes, that's things to bear in mind, isn't it? The nesting season in particular, so you don't hack something when there's birdies in there with their nests. Always ask permission, always make connection. Morning, Jackie. Emma. We've got some cactus on our ancestors' altar from my great-grandma who had cactus in the window by her bed. It's a connection, isn't it? You're making connection to the person, something they liked, something they that makes you think of them. Perfect. Sephora, I need to prune my elderberry, so mildly terrified, but she's taking over, and although the chooks love hanging under, it's taking out a path. Did ask her nicely to go the other way, but she's not listening. Yeah, elder mother is quite a feisty old bin. I've got elderflower buds on mine. Lovely Heather gave me a little elder sapling, and she's got little buds on her now. Hannah, tend to honour everything, including ancestors, through poetry. The spoken word is perfect. Leaves no damage, leaves no trail. Comes from the heart. Perfect. Deliberate mistakes. Is that the Farah and Farah? I didn't know that. It sounds like a dangerous thing to do for me. Good morning, Leslie. Jane, some books can be downright misleading. I had an astrology book that described an aspect between two planets that never ever happens. If it was a test, tough, I ditched the book. That's the problem I have. People do, and perhaps they should rely on books to give the correct information. That the whole point of it isn't the whole point of getting a book to do research, to do reading, to learn things. If they are incorrect or purposely or otherwise or misleading, then a lot of people don't check, they don't double check, they don't think, well, that doesn't sound quite right. They'll take it as that's correct. And, that is how they should be. You're reading it in a book written by someone who is respected. It should be right, surely. Because people don't check. A lot of people don't check. Angela, I'm sure my cats don't ask permission before nest raiding. Yeah, it's cats. Makes me sad. One bad thing about our felines. It is in their nature. It is in their nature. Colin found some old photos of my family, mum and dad, when they were younger. Nice to hold on to. Very nice to hold on to. Sasha, do get connect with the hawthorn. Connect with the spirit of the hawthorn. She'll let you know. She will let you know. Andrea, I have a red hawthorn. It was getting too leggy last year, so I pruned it, and it has thickened up beautifully this spring. Same with my black elder. Yeah, they do benefit from it. They do benefit from it. Emma, an automatic photo frame for the too many photos. Oh, it's got lots of photos. Maria, sorry, herb question. Never apologise for asking questions, especially not herb ones. I bought a spearmint plant. Should I repot it in a bigger pot or leave it alone? It depends how comfortable it is in the pot. If you can just shimmy it out of the pot, if there's plenty of root space, leave it where it is. If the roots are all jam-packed, then plant it into a bigger pot, but only no more than an inch bigger pot. If you give it too big a pot, it won't be happy. Just shimmy it out of the pot and check the roots first to see if they're overcrowded. Good morning, Jenny. Yes, I have to agree. One would expect the information to be correct in a book. Kind of thought that was the point of books. Yes. Jenny, we agree on so many things. Yes, absolutely. There are times when I think, well, that information doesn't sound quite right. So I'll jump. In fact, when I do research for any of my books, I check and I double check sources. Sorry, dog's screaming. Right. Oh, you're sitting on your blanket. You're sitting on it. There we are. Is that better? If you leave the door open, you're going to be cold. Yes. When I write books, I spend a huge amount of time first researching the subject, stacks of other books and academic papers and website sources. You have to find the right sources, places like Wikipedia, not necessarily right sources. If you look at Wikipedia, though, it's quite useful because if there's an article on there, if you scroll to the bottom, it will tell you the sources that they found their information from. It's those that I go to, the academic, the well-known, the reliable sources. But check and double check stuff. That's what I do for books. So the idea of me putting something in a book that is wrong or misleading to send people off to research makes my head explode. I'm not sure I could do that. I want to know that if I'm reading something by a respected author, that it's correct. Yeah, that confuses me a little, I must admit. If academic authors went about doing that, there'd be an uproar in the academic community. Absolutely. The whole point about journals is the sharing of research information and learning. Yeah, yes. Yeah, that kind of the whole point to me, really. Charlie, aren't books what you check and do the research with? Well, yeah. Putting mistakes in them seems odd to me. I'm a book lover through and through. Me too, Charlie. Me too. Yeah, it does seem a little bit mad to me. Tony, I expect books to be correct and hope they've gone through a checking process. It's Google I'm always worried about. Yes, when I do research for a book, I might start or look at various areas on Google, but I will get the idea from there and then go and research it elsewhere. I have always got a stack of books on whatever subject it is I'm researching, but I also look through the academic papers. I'm a member of academia, EDU, and I look at research papers written by historians and university students, and double check various sources. You can Google stuff and it's very useful, but check and double check stuff. But yeah, if I'm reading a book, I want it to be correct. Colin, Precious bought me a mouse the other day, then started chasing it. I hope you were grateful that she bought you that present. Sephora, I don't have a pentacle on my altar, but thinking I could mark a candle with one, is that okay? Sephora, I don't have a pentacle on my altar either. Or I don't have a pentacle on any of my altars. There is the idea with altars having specific things on is Wiccan. You have all the goddess items on the left, you have all the god items on the right, you have a pentacle, you have representations of the four elements, you have your wand, your chalice, your athame. And I have had that in the past, but my altars now are more representative of me, of the way that I work now. In fact, that little corner there, if you can see, that is my Roman household altar. I have representations of Sulis and Minerva. I've got a Roman oil lamp that I light each day. I have a couple of candles, have some flower circlets. I have a chalice from the Roman baths with the Balanas head on. And I have an offering dish. I don't have any pentacles on any of mine. If you feel the need to have one, then do so. If you want to just mark one on a candle and that feels right to you, absolutely do it. It's your altar. It has to have things on it that mean things to you and that feel right to you. And that's why it's better to use intuition, as there's so much contradictory stuff in books and online. You need to buy books from well-established authors. Yeah, your intuition will never let you down. I think it depends what pathway you walk. There are times when you do need to research stuff. And in doing so, just, check out the well-established authors, check out the academic sites. For fairy information, check out the original fairy stories, not the whole modern stuff, because it all gets twisted. If you are following a Wiccan pathway, then you should be able to rely on those well-respected elders from Wicca when it was founded, and be able to read and find information from them. But if it doesn't feel quite right to you, then double check it. Angela, yes, the Farrar's book. Hopefully those that follow blindly, their workings don't work, and that might prompt them to research more, or it will sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. It's if it feels hinky to you. If it doesn't work, then find something else. Double check, research source. Yeah. Eva, academic papers are at least peer reviewed in good journals, at least. Yes. And I always, for instance, the Gods and Goddess of England book, that's out in June. I researched it. The starting foundation research for that was the archaeological finds, because that's as factual as you're going to get. And then I started from there. So you know, you've got to find what you believe to be the most reliable sources. You can Google anything, doesn't necessarily make it right. It's sources checking and double checking. Xenia, I expect books to be researched more than Google, because everyone can start their blog or website and just write anything. Yes. Yeah, that's the situation we're in, isn't it? That's the situation we're in, is that you can put anything out there and it doesn't actually have to be factually correct. Lizzie says Google Scholar is a good place as well for research. Scholar is such a good word. Angela, don't forget some of these books were written when secrecy was still a fashionable or necessary thing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the original Wiccan books were written when witchcraft wasn't put out there. It wasn't spoken about, and you had to be a member of a specific coven to find out what was going on. Xenia, on the other hand, it came to mind that nowadays you have books just put together by AI that grabbed random stuff from the internet. Yes, we have mentioned this before, haven't we? There are, and again, this is checking. This is looking at the sources. This is double checking. If you find a book that's on Amazon for, random, and the author has published, 20 books in a year. I know I write a lot, but even I couldn't write that much. Then the chances are that it's an AI, or it's something that the publisher or the person independently has just cobbled together from information off the net. Double check. If you can't find, look up the author. If you can't find any traces of the author on the web, then it's either not a real person or it's someone pretending to be something they're not and just grabbing loads of information. Yeah. Jackie says, your comments are always cut off, Jackie. We were trained in Alexandrian tradition and we're in a coven whose high priest and priestess were once in Alex and Maxine's coven. Alex was trained as a Gardnerian. When we hived off and started his coven with the Farrars, they developed Gardnerian into more of what they were interested in. More ceremonial magic, more deities, different tools, occasionally aspects of Kabbalistic magic. Same with the levels. First, second, and by third degree, you could hive off and start your own coven with permission, which is, that's how a lot of the Wiccan covens still do run, really. But you had to be part of it to find out what was going on, obviously. Maria, sometimes I look at books as opinions, as people often have differing opinions on certain subjects. Yeah, and I think particularly in the world of magic and spirituality, a lot of it is based on, they call it personal gnosis, don't they? It's your own opinions, your own experiences. Particularly, for instance, I'm writing a book about Sulis at the moment, the goddess Sulis. There is very, very, very little information about her. And I'm starting with the archaeological evidence from the Roman baths, because that's the only place she was found. So I start with the archaeological evidence and I look at what the archaeologists have written and discussed. I look at what the historians have written and discussed. But then part of the book is going to be how I work with her personally, because there's no other information around. So it is a combination. But I think it's important to know and understand when an author does that it is their personal ideas, that it is their own opinions. That needs to be made clear. Colin, my partner worked at HMSO and did proofreading. If he was reading a book and had too many typos, he would put it down. It is one of those things. I've had a few self-published books that I've read where the layout or the typos have been too horrendous to stops me from reading. If you are with a traditional publisher, you do get that extra backup. If you are self-publishing, do pay for a proofreader. It's so worth it. But even copy editors, even publishers do miss the odd typo. But yeah, it can be very off-putting. Jane, I'd never trust any book published by Google. They have so many glaring mistakes. There are probably a lot smaller ones too. Yeah, it's not knowing, isn't it? Angela, I have a few trusted authors, you being one of them, bless you, as today there are many AI written books that just regurgitate lots of questionable info. It's just about checking, finding reliable ones. Sasha, absolutely agree about doing the research. I'm always to be found in the depths of our university library. I'm ancient enough to be the only one there using paper and pen to take notes. I write a lot of my notes, and a lot of my books start with a paper and pen. Yeah, I think we forget libraries these days, don't we? We do forget libraries. It's sad because they've got so much information. Jenny, one thing I've learned doing my degree, I'm so jealous, Jenny, elder student here, critical thinking is so important when reading everything. Yeah, absolutely. We do take things as, for want of a better word, gospel, don't we? Yeah, check, double check. Sephora, I'm pleased you said that about authors. I thought I was being a bit wayward with mine. Oh, being wayward is good. But it's mine even with Owls and Dragons and stuff. It's your sacred space. Unless you are following a particularly strict coven of some sort where you are required to have set things, it's your sacred space. Do with it what you will. Angela, my authors have always been personal to me and what's going on in my life, not what people tell me should be on it. Definitely not just to look pretty for Instagram. There's a few of them. When people ask me what should be in theirs, I always tell them whatever you resonate with. Yep, absolutely. Jenny, saying you started with archaeological finds makes my heart sing. Yeah, I did it with the Gods and Goddesses of England book, and I'm doing it with the Sulis book, and I will do it with the Minerva book as well, because I've got a contract to write about that. For me, it makes perfect sense. It is the most factual evidence that we have, and it gives me a starting point. It makes sense to me anyway. Emma, I'm always questioning things, including myself, to make sure I'm doing things right or checking that thing's right to me. It's your intuition. Trust your intuition. It won't let you down. Hannah, is there one item that never moves off your altar no matter what? I have 2 stones on mine that are always on there. I would say the thing that I generally have, or perhaps the tool I use the most, is a cauldron, because I like burning stuff. There are things that sort of hang about within the area. I have a statue of Granny Weatherwax, the witch, main witch from the Pratchett books. She's always somewhere near my altars. But I think it depends what I'm working with. My Roman altar is fairly new. That's been there for a few months now. I think it depends really what I'm working with. My other altar has Balanus on it. There's usually the Kalach somewhere, a representation of the Kalach somewhere on my main altar. Yeah, interesting question, Hannah. It is an interesting question. Yeah, cauldron is probably the one that's always on my main working altar. Desna, your altar is personal choice, and I never put cut flowers on mine. They're dead, and that's just wrong to me. A lot plant is great and ends up in the garden to grow. Interesting. It has to work for you. I do have cut flowers on mine because I cut them from my garden and I bring them in as offerings to the deities, to my deities. So yeah, I do have cut flowers on there. They've still got that energy to them, because if you think about it, we work with magical herbs, we work with magical plants that have been cut from the plant. So they've still got a magical energy to them, but it has to be right for you. It does absolutely have to be right to you. Jane, men I wouldn't trust books published by Amazon. I knew what you meant. They just aren't proofread and the mistakes are shocking. I don't think I've ever bought one published by Amazon, so pop. Which fake authors should we be wary of? And the name always escapes me, and someone always reminds me. Oh, now the dog's barking again. Excuse me. There's one in particular, isn't there? One author. Her name's escaped me. If someone can remind me, that would be very useful. Lizzie, universities often have research papers you can request. I only know because my final BA essay was submitted. Had no idea this was done, so check in your local universities. Yeah, the academia site that I belong to has lots of research papers and things. It's really interesting to work from. But yeah, good recommendation. Thank you, Lizzie. Want the Gods and Goddesses book. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, a bit of marketing. Remembering the hoo-ha over your last book. If people don't know it yet, the book depository has closed. Now, the Gods and Goddesses of England is published by Moon Books, so there shouldn't be any problems with distribution. Yeah, the book depository has closed. I am told that the Hive is a very good place to get books from if you don't want to use Amazon. Xenia, like historical evidence, yeah. Jane, that explains things. We know the same people, yeah. Yeah, advice from Jackie about the herb. Yeah, check the roots. Always check the roots. Typos annoy me now since I started proofreading, yes. And sometimes it doesn't matter how many times you read your own manuscript, you still miss stuff. Actually, yes, Jackie Maria says check the roots of herbs and plants. Remember as well that a lot of herbs are Mediterranean, so they like good drainage. So chuck a bit of shingle or a bit of grit into the soil as well if you repot it. Eva says, uni libraries are just one of my favourite places to be. They're so calm and yet brimming with energy that radiates knowledge and the excitement of discovery. That's just, libraries are just magical places. Absolutely magical. Sephora, don't do strict. Yes, that's why my pathway is the way my pathway is. I don't like being told what to do. Steve, what do you like? Yes, always check your sources. If they boil over, it's a bugger to clean up. Always put a wooden spoon across the edge of the saucepan. Stops it from boiling over. Colin, Granny Weatherwax is my icon. Karen, my cauldron is always on my altar too. Everything else is whatever feels right. I always change the main one for each slab, and it has to work for you. Yeah. Jackie says one thing about altars, trying to set up a personal altar, cats. No, yeah, cats are drawn to magic. They are drawn to sacred spaces. They will knock everything off. Yeah, the AI books thing is a bit of a problem. That's the name I was looking for. Sasha, thank you. Murray Silver is apparently not real and is a name that is used for books that are AI generated. If she's a real person and she wants to make contact with me, I will stand corrected. But as far as I'm aware, she is one of the ones to be wary of. Lizzie, which academic site to use? It's called academia.edu. I don't know that one, Lizzie. I'll have a look at that one. Thank you. Like recommendations. Sephora, you have beautiful libraries in the UK. New Zealand is too young to have many decent ones. We have some old ones in the Oxford, Cambridge, London. My local library is a modern one, 1970s job. The books are there. The books are there. God's reading one's own dissertation is a blooming nightmare. You just want to get over it. Yeah, I love writing books. Wouldn't do it, didn't love it. I do not like the editing stage. I become Captain Grumpy when I'm editing my books and proofreading them. Another cat story, I'm guessing. Not had one up in a while. When Goose gets needy, he's all over the higher levels. Yeah, they are drawn to it. They are drawn to it. Yeah, Xenia loves cauldrons too. Yeah. Oh, and Granny Weatherwax. Nanny Og's a superstar as well. Yeah. Maria, my cat Luna magically appeared on my bed at 4:45 this morning. That's nice, as I didn't know she was under my bed all night. That's very good of her. Eva, love editing others' work, but hate editing my own. I think you get a little bit word blind. It happens. I do think you get a little bit word blind. I didn't even get to ask any of my questions yet, but yes, Karen, libraries are closing at an alarming rate in some areas. We've got to use them. If we don't use them, they will close. We always took our kids to the libraries too when they were little. There was always so much on. It's a shame. So I have a quick question. We got a bit of time yet. So my question is about the term spirit animal guide. Now, it's a bit of one of those things. I don't use the term totem because that is relevant to the indigenous peoples of the Native Americas. It's also incorrect. It also doesn't mean spirit animal guide. We use it incorrectly. So I call my animal guides, the spirits that I work with, I call them spirit animal guides. But it has been flagged up recently to me that it is the incorrect term to use. It's not politically correct, and that I should use the term familiars. Well, I'm going to argue here because familiars is different to spirit animal guides. They are two separate different things. Eric could be my familiar. My spirit animal guides, the main one is the wild boar. I use the term spirit animal guide because that's what it is. It's a descriptive term. It is my animal guide in spirit, from the spirit world. So it is a spirit animal guide. It's not taking the term from any other culture. It is the English words from the English language to describe what it is. Do you call your animal spirit guides by some other term? Do you recognize spirit animal guide? If I called it something else, would you know what I was talking about? How do you feel about that? Let's bear in mind that there are many cultures across the globe that worked with spirit animal guides, that used to work with them, that still work with them, and they call them spirit animal guides. For me, that term is just a descriptive term using the English language. I don't see it as any kind of cultural appropriation of any kind. Again, bearing in mind that many cultures across the world have that and have always had that kind of connection and worked with the spirit world in such a way. I would never use the actual Native American word for it. I'm sure they have words in their own languages for it. I would never use that. What I'm doing is using a descriptive term for what it is. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that? Lizzie, one tip, if proofreading your own work, change the font. It suddenly exposes all kinds of things you overlook. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Thank you. Janet, it's also very useful for research work. I don't trust everything on the Google search. No, it's good. It's useful for some things, like, you're watching the TV program and you recognize the actor and you can't remember what else you've seen him in. We use Google for that a lot. Oh, who's that actor? What else have we seen him in? Yeah. Jane, editing and proofreading can become obsessive. I was writing a eulogy for a friend and my husband said, blimey, one would think you were writing a thesis. We can be a little bit over with it, can't we? Hannah, familiars are in the here and now, you can touch them. Spirit animal guides are what it says in spirit. Yes, that's exactly what I think. That is exactly what I think. Sasha, totally agree about a familiar being a different thing. Imps were also part of that whole world as well. It's a very difficult line we walk with terms of descriptions. Desna, agree, if they're in spirit, then they are spirit animal guides. Sephora, I'm with you. Familiar is alive. How can spirit animal guide be inappropriate? I don't know. I use the term power animal from core shamanism, a spirit in animal form that represents one's power, different from familiar and filja, which describe different forms of beings. Yes, and I've used the term fetch before, but even that has a slightly different meaning to spirit animal guide. But then I've seen the term power animal as being accused of being appropriation too, because that's how Native Americans work with it. Hannah, in other realms, it's not inappropriate to use the term all native peoples had this type of shamanistic guide. Yeah. Oh, I know, little Miss Team, I know. It's a minefield. How can spirit animal guide be not PC? What has it got to do with it? If it's appropriation, then using Native American chanting at Beltane doesn't cut the mustard for me. Yeah, I mean, I am aware of this, which is why I stopped using the word totem a very long time ago. But yeah, I think people get a little bit oversensitive about it all. We go a little bit too far, I think, don't we? Jane, Amazon books are quite easy to recognise. They're sort of floppy, heavy, shiny, with a font that's a bit too big and looks like Baskerville Old Face. Floppy, heavy, shiny book. Eva, I use familiar for a physical animal and then use animal guide or just guide for bear and stag, who are my guides. Capitalise the first letter to indicate that it's a guide, not a regular animal. Bear versus bear. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, spirit animal guides, it's in the name. Yeah, I know. Karen, yes, agreed. Spirit animal guide works for me. My familiar was my dog Owen. Yeah, I'm not sure Eric would be overly useful, but it would be my familiar. Janet, do you have to be a student of the university to request research papers? Interesting question. I don't know the answer to that one. If someone can answer that one. The academia site that I belong to has lots of different students and professors and all sorts of stuff. To request a research paper from a specific university, I don't know. The answer would be very useful if anyone has the answer to that one. Xenia, even the term spirit animal guide is being accused of being, it is, of being appropriation. It is. And I'm going to stand by my thoughts. I'm going to continue using it because to me it is a descriptive term for all sorts of cultures. It is not appropriated as far as I'm concerned, but Maria bought the book about the fairies by ACD from Amazon and it was shiny and the photos were all out of focus really bad. Yeah, there are some out there, unfortunately. Angela, my cat Jarek was my familiar. He passed away on 31st December 2021. He's now started appearing to me as a spirit guide. Perfect. Perfect that he's come back to you. Colin, my late partner often said that my original guide was my familiar. Lizzie, think if the people who can complain about appropriation are the originators of the term. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It is the thing. I think it's other people that are complaining about stuff. They're getting a little bit over the top with it. For goodness sake, animal spirit guides are spiritual guides. Familiars are to me living beings. Yeah, how has all this become? Yeah, I know. I roll, definitely. I roll. Oh, Arthur Conan Doyle. Just thinking AC. All I could think was AC/DC, Maria. Okay. Fairies book by Arthur Conan Doyle. Amazon must have. Did someone else reproduced it badly? By the sounds of it. Eva, academic papers always have the author's contact details. Email them directly. They will provide a copy for free. Gladly. Journals often cost money and authors do not see any income from that. Okay, that's useful information. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to have to look up this fairy book now. I love Arthur Conan Doyle. I've forgotten about the photos. They're a bit grey and grim. Anna, what do you like? Ethereal animal helper. Yeah, perhaps not. Charlie, if you totem, you're going to have to let it go. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm just letting my familiar out the door. If you use totem, I could see a problem. Spirit animal, cat. Spirit and druid culture here. We did. We had Great Britain had shamans. Great Britain had druids. We had, Vikings, the Norse. Everyone. They all had and worked with spirit animals. Most cultures did. Lizzie says, as far as I know, if you go into the uni library and request research help, they will provide it. Excellent. Very useful. Jenny, no harm in reaching out to a university for research materials. They should be perfectly willing. No reason not to share the information. If you want some archaeological reports, have a look at the Archaeological Data Service. It's UK-based archaeological reports. There's also plenty of other sources on there beyond archaeological reports, or I just asked. Thank you. Very useful information. Very useful. Eric. Language appropriation. Next time you don your pajamas to sit on your veranda with your lovely cup of cha in all this chaos, stop and think. I know. It's mad, isn't it? It is mad. Sephora, I think people forget that people of UK descent had a fairly feral existence at one stage. We've got a huge history here, as most cultures have. We did have shamans, we did have druids. It was, huge spiritual history. Maria, yes, I'm sitting by the garden door, so that's why he's barking. Eric has magic powers, barked and the video immediately stuck. Yeah, that's him. Now, see, Lizzie, I call people guys too. I call lots of people guys. Technically, that could be flagged as well because of gender issues. Let's not go down there. Jackie, good fairy book is Troublesome Things, a history of fairy and fairy stories. I think the author was Perkins. Thank you for that recommendation. Jane, people assume my needy, clingy cat, Clean, I love the names, is my familiar. But no, the elusive Sandra, even better name for a cat, is the more knowing and spiritual Mog in a house, much more like a familiar. Cat, they are, aren't they? They're funny things. Oh, sorry, dog. Right. Good morning, you come in. Don't know what that was, but apparently we saw it off. Such a ferocious beast. Yeah, it's all mad, isn't it? Right. Jenny, depending on where you are in the country, one could argue they're still feral. Yeah. Although as a student archaeologist, I have issues with the word feral. Yeah, let's not go down other rabbit holes. Let's definitely not do that. Thank you for that input. Yeah, thank you. It's made me feel a lot better. I was going to stand my ground and not change Animal Spirit Guides, and I'm still not going to change it. You've just backed it up, so thank you for that. So yeah, Jane, we get called guys in restaurants, and it makes me want to wear a t-shirt with "I'm not a guy" printed on it. See, I use the term guys as just a collective for all and every. I don't attach gender to that. But that's a whole other rabbit hole, isn't it? Which we'll talk about at some other point. Interesting today. Lots of recommendations for things. So yes, definitely do check sources. Do check sources. Do research. If it feels a bit hinky, probably is. Double check it. Don't rely on just Google. And yes, Spirit Animal Guides. Thank you for that. That's excellent. Yes, Senia, the words are a literal description. Yes. What kind of spirits are they? Animals from the spirit world. Therefore, Animal Spirit Guides. Yeah, I know. I know. It's mad. The world's gone mad. So anyway, that was interesting. Thank you for that. Lots of recommendations. Have a fantastic week, rest of week, and bank holiday weekend. I will be watching Charlie on Saturday. I think it's quite important. Bless him. But have a fantastic rest of week and weekend. Hopefully, I will see you all again on next Wednesday. Yes, enjoy the coronation on Saturday. If you are watching, I was going to say I'll be there, but I'm not actually there. I'm sitting in the comfort of my own home watching on the telly. So thank you everyone for your input. Thank you for your information. Thank you so much for joining me. You finished now, have you? Yeah. Take care, everyone.